It's MC333 here. And this video is going to be more so for the musicians, for the creators, for the producers in the area of music production, right? And audio production. You know, whether you're a producer, whether you're an artist, etc. There's something that I've just been coming across a lot lately. But really overall, you know, I'm seeing a lot of, you know, being in the industry for how long as I am now, you know, 6 years and things of that nature, you know, rapping around as a whole 6 years. But I run into a lot of artists and musicians who, you know, they have certain discrepancies around their music and many reasons of why they shouldn't release their music, right? And what I notice it is with a lot of creatives is a lot, you know, music is our outlet in terms of, you know, self-expression and personal expression to, you know, just coming from the soul, coming from the spirit, how we express ourselves. This is accessing certain vulnerabilities, right? Certain vulnerable points within ourselves, etc., that we're relaying and then putting through and putting it within music, right? Certain internal conflicts and things of that nature that um, we're able to relay through our art. And I think that that opens up a level and a sense of vulnerability to a lot of individuals. And I think a lot of individuals just can't handle that vulnerability yet. Um, right. I think that there is a big area of there's a big area of internal conflict that a lot of musicians aren't looking at. I think a lot of people like and they go to musicians, they go to music as their outlet, right? To help overcome these internal conflicts, because this is why we gravitate to music, due to our internal vulnerabilities, right? Our own vulnerabilities, and why we gravitate to music, right? And everyone has their own reasons of why they gravitate to music. Um, but then they use like that same reason that they use to gravitate to music. That's the same thing that they use to talk them out of putting their music out, right? So a lot of people may have went through something and, you know, they say, yeah, that's why I went to music. I went to music, it helped me. But then they're going to say, well, you know, I don't want to get that out because it's not good enough. And that's really that same vulnerability within them thinking it's not good enough. Um, because they know that there's a level of vulnerability within their music that they've put in their art. So it's really a fear of criticism, um, due to the internal conflict and the vulnerability that you're opening yourself up to while you're creating your music, right? So it's important for you to understand that. That way, you know, when you're creating and when you're ready to put that out, right, you have to understand why people gravitate to music in the first place, and it's due to um, you know, accepting and honing in on their vulnerabilities and internal conflicts. Okay. Um, so it's just if you're one of those artists who have been sitting on catalog, or, you know, you're sitting on beats and things of that nature, ask yourself what are the reasons you're not putting it out. And you'll notice those reasons are the reasons you should be putting it out. And there's a lot of artists that will tell me, oh, well, my new music is better than my old music. Well, of course, right? You're always going to be expanding. You're always going to be growing, right? Life is there's levels to this. So you're always going to be, it's expansion and contraction. As a creator, you're going to be continuously expanding and contracting, right? Like you're breathing, like lungs. As a spirit, that's what we're doing. And when we contract, we gain information. When we expand, we put out. We're able to leverage that information that we just honed in on, right? That expansion and that expansion comes from experience. That experience comes with wisdom and lessons, right? Throughout. So you have to remember that, of course, you're going to progressively get better if you keep, if this is something that you continue doing, because you're going to get better at relaying experiences. You're going to get better at telling stories. You're going to get better at articulating yourself. But there has to come a point where you decide to start. There's so many people that will say, okay, well, I'll drop soon, or I'll I'll drop then, putting their drop on external factors. But you see, you're chasing the internal conflict, not realizing why you're making music, right? You're making music, um, you know, you're working and also healing internal conflicts, but at the same time not realizing that, because because of ego, right? And what the external world, the pressures that the external world may have placed onto you. So it's important for you to realize why you're delaying your own gratification, right? Or why you're delaying your own life. It's not even your own, like, because this is stuff that you could be building and be laying building blocks up on, right? Um, a lot of people want to delay themselves for starting, but the sooner you start, the better. And the sooner you start, time is going to go by anyway. So like, why not put something out? At the end of the day, your growth, like, you can't, no one comes out the woodworks perfect. They're like, what you think is overnight success, that other person put 10 years in before they actually seen some form of success. Yeah, you may have seen that person when they blew up, but they've been putting in years of work. What you think is overnight is not overnight. So don't expect to come out overnight and expect people to think, okay, well, that's gonna be he's gonna blow up forever and things of that nature, right? Or that was overnight. No, because work was put in. Um, So don't sit on your craft for too long, because and also remember that as you're creating, you're healing your internal conflicts. So those same internal conflicts, you're not going to uh you're not going to feel like you want to put those out. You're not going to have that same excitement towards those, because those same internal conflicts have been healed or overcome based upon the music, based upon the transmutation through the music, right? You were able to relay it and transmute it into art, because energy doesn't get destroyed; it only gets transferred, right? So you're able to put it into the music, therefore you overcame that internal state. But who says that there's not someone else that needed to hear that music to overcome that same internal state that you overcame based upon your creation, but you didn't put it out, right? Because you're not just making music for you, you're making music for others, because that same thing that you were discussing in your song, someone else, that could be used to help someone else overcome their internal conflict, which is what you're doing in music, being a part of the service industry, right? Um, because technically music is a service. So you could say it's a product as well. It's really both. It's really a product and a service, but that's what you're also doing with people, which is why your audience is going to gravitate to you, because you've helped them overcome a certain internal conflict, right? To then see clearer, which causes emotional connection, right? Based upon vulnerabilities. So I say that to say, guys, don't sit on your craft. And if you're an artist looking to get your craft solidified, don't hesitate to apply with us to work with us. First link below. We can either come in as partners, or we can come in as overseers, right? Depending on the budget that you're earning monthly to get you into that position as an artist or producer full time. Okay. So definitely that's where you want to go, and that's what you want to do. But as I say that, remember, if you're one of those artists who have catalogs, who have beats sitting on your phone, on your computer, etc., what are you waiting on? Right? What are you waiting on? Um, People think that success is like this point to get to. While it's a proactive and progressive journey, right? So don't ever think that success is some sort of destination that you just be at one day, because if you're not curating your own definitions of success, you'll never get to a destination. And I'm being completely honest with you. Despite talking to multimillionaires, my own mentors, spiritual and business, I've seen that, and that's where you have to come in your own life and to be the decision maker, and that deciding factor on your reality, and what you deem and what you determine as successful for yourself in your own life. Okay. So with that being said, it's MC Triple Two. Until the next one. All right. I did so much for you. So much. But now it's fine.